computer. Okay, and Shivani, feel free to introduce yourself and a quick introduction on what the presentation will be, and we can do just quick name and organization introductions from the CEJC members as well.
Great, thank you so much, Tom. Hello everyone, thank you so much for having me. My name is Shivani Bose-Brala. I am the program manager over the California Grants Portal, which I'll be sharing a lot of information, hopefully useful information for all of you. I'm with the California State Library and that's where the project resides. And this presentation is mainly just to give you guys a awareness of this resource that's out there for all of you or other members that you might know or other network folks that you might be able to pass this information down to. That this resource is available for funding, that state agencies add to one website, and it's all sorts of grants. It's mainly for organizations. There are some individual grants. I'll show you guys how to navigate the website, how to find resources, how to even subscribe or contact us if you had any questions about the portal. And who do you contact if you have questions about the grant? So that's kind of been the overarching view of what this presentation will be about, and hopefully it will be all useful and valuable for you. So I'll pass it to Ron to introduce himself.
My name is Ron Martin, and I'm the leader of Fresno's Against Fracking and also involved in the Sierra Club.
So Camille?
Well, I'm Tom, Valley Improvement Projects in Stanislaus County and also the coordinator for CEJC. Carl, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
This is Carl Anthony. I'm with Breakthrough Communities, and I'm going to switch now to get zoomed in. You are?
Yeah, we can already see you and hear you.
Okay.
Ken, do you want to go?
Okay. Ken Sutu from Citizen Air Monitoring Network in Vallejo, California.
And Mary Leah?
Hi, I'm Mary Leah Kelly. I'm Executive Director at Tri-Valley Cares. The acronym stands for Communities Against a Radioactive Environment. We're here in Livermore, California since 1983. And we work on the Superfund cleanup of Livermore Lab, main site and Site 300. It's a nuclear weapons lab, and also on the like hazardous waste permit issues and a variety of other environmental concerns.
Hey, Renee, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Renee with Green Action and Mothers and Fathers Environmental Justice Task Force Committee. Thank you for presenting today.
And I'm just going by who's next in my video boxes. So Paloma, I see you just joined. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Thanks, Tom. I am Paloma Pavel, and I work with Carl Anthony and the Breakthrough Communities team. I think we also have Zach Spicer with us today, and we work on environmental and climate justice, and with a special focus on leadership development with vulnerable communities. We also provide resources and training. Thank you.
Thanks. Laura, you want to give your name and organization real quick? Oh, you're muted. Why don't we go to SP real quick and we'll come back to Laura.
Hi, this is Esperanza Vielma. I am both with the Environmental Justice Coalition for Water and with Cafe Coop. And again, thank you for presenting to us this afternoon.
And Zach?
Hi, everyone. My name is Zach. I'm an intern with Carl and Paloma at Breakthrough Communities. I'm a senior at Dartmouth College studying geography. And I have a strong interest in climate and environmental justice. And thank you for presenting. We're excited to hear what you have to share.
Thanks. Laura, I don't know if you can hear us. You're all muted, but if you want to just give your name and organization real quick. Okay, maybe she's not hearing us, but okay, well, I don't want to go too much farther. We're already 10 minutes after. So Shivani, I'll let you take it away for the presentation. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to switch around a little bit, so bear with me because I want to give you guys an overview of what the portal is about. So not necessarily my slide deck because that's boring, right? We want to actually see the thing. So, but I want to give you guys a background on what this grant portal is about. So this grant portal actually came out of a legislation in a Grant Act, Information Act of 2018. And it actually was started in July 1, 2019. And we were given 1 year to finish a website where all state agencies will put in grant opportunities that are competitive, first come award process, including loans and federal assistance funds. So remember that definition, because that's what the state agencies are following. So if the grant does not fall under being competitive or first come award process, including loan or federal assistance fund, that's not on the website. Okay, so just know that as a caveat. We are basically following the mandate on what exactly was asked in the legislation. So what we did was we talked to all the grant seekers, so nonprofits, local government, folks that are going to actually come to the website, right, to really learn about their gaps and challenges around finding grant opportunities in the state. And what we found was a lot of times people actually have to hop from one department to another department's website to try to find what they're eligible for. So it's not really a centralized place where I can just put a keyword in and find what I'm looking for. Like, for example, right now, we all know everyone's in a dire need of funding due to COVID, right? So if I wanted to put in COVID-19 related funding, all COVID-19 related funding will come up in the portal now. So before the portal was existent, there was no such thing as where you could keyword search and find something. So this website was created by California State Library, which is where I work. And we finished it in July 1, 2020. Again, this was never created before. It's brand new. It's new data. It's only been 8 months since the portal's been live, which means that state agencies are still adding information. We still don't know how many grants will it be for a whole year, right? So know all those caveats before I take you to the portal and show you what this looks like. Our goal with the website is to make sure it's a user friendly, meaning all of you can go to the portal and it's easy enough to follow, right? And that's kind of the main goal that we wanted to make sure the state agencies also understand. And the state agencies have been our partners. There's over 50 of them that have been adding grants opportunities to this portal and continue to do so. And I'll show you what the statistics look like as well, so that you guys have a better understanding how much grant information has been entered into the portal so far. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Grant Act of Grant Information Act of 2019. So how did we come to this portal? Again, I mentioned, we talked to all the grant seekers. We also talked to the grant makers. We wanted to make this standardized so that people who are coming to the portal can actually walk through the portal and go, oh, it's all standard information, right? And note that this portal is not where you apply for grants. You still have to go to the department's website to apply. But what it does is it compiles everything in one place for you before you have to apply for it, right? So just know that it still takes you to the department's website. Our data, which is everything that's on the portal, is open source. So people can actually go and download a CSV file and take a look at everything that was put in by the state agency. So it's total transparent. It's out there for public to look at. There's, I think, around 300 or so grants that have been put in since last July. So July 1, 2020. So you can see all of that information and how many are closed, how many are active, how many are forecasted. Okay. So let's go to the actual portal so that I can show you guys what it looks like. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in chat, or I have plenty of time afterwards too, where we can actually have a conversation and ask those questions, okay? So let me go to the portal itself so you guys can see. To get to the portal, you will go to grants. So it's grants.ca.gov. So California.gov, right? So there is also a grants portal that's out there. That's grants.gov, which is the federal portal. It only has federal grant opportunities, and that one you can apply through the portal. This one you can't. Okay. So this is the homepage when you put in the grants.ca.gov. The top of the portal, what it does is it gives you an opportunity to be able to fill out like a sentence, right? Who are you? I am a nonprofit, for example. I can select that. Looking for funding in. And this is the categories. There's like 17 categories. Again, they're very high level. The reason being is we don't want to burden a user to come in and go, oh, every detail of subcategory, oh, it nests in, right? We want to have a very clean cut. Okay, so if you're looking for environmental grants, no matter what it is, climate change, anything, water, flooding, whatever it is, it's under environment and water, okay? Unless it's food and nutrition, right? So if you're looking for agriculture grants, it's going to be under food and nutrition, okay? If you're looking for anything that's related to housing, it's going to be under housing, community, and economic development. So the idea is that it's broad enough where you'll be able to see everything that's entered in that category, not necessarily what you might come into mind and like, oh, I just want to look at climate change, but you might see others that are related to what you're looking for, right? That's the idea, to be able to give you everything that you're looking for. So then once you select a category, you can do that. And then you can also, if you're a small nonprofit or organization that doesn't have a lot of time, right? Or you don't want to apply for something that's due in a month, because that's just a lot of work. You can select the time frame it's due in. So this is based on the deadlines that are put by the state agencies, right? So you can look at something that's in 6 months so that you can prepare and plan and do all the documentation you need to do. So this is all generated based on what's in the portal. The other thing to remember, you don't have to fill out every single box here. You could just do nonprofit and you can see everything for nonprofits, okay? You can do just a category and you can see everything with a category. And once you've selected it, you say, show me the opportunities. What it does is it filters down what you selected up here and show you only the stuff that you selected there, okay? So, but if you're interested in seeing everything, you can just say, show me everything, and it'll take you to the page where it shows you everything. That's one way to get into the portal. There are many other ways, because some people are visual, right? They don't want to have to fill out a sentence. They just want to look at the category. You can come down here. You can say, I'm looking for grants that are for disadvantaged communities, okay? Then you just select on disadvantaged communities. It filters down everything that's tagged by the state agencies for disadvantaged communities, okay? Note that multiple categories can be selected per grant opportunity. So it could be a disadvantaged community grant, but it's in a health and human services, right? So it's health related, right? Or social services related. So they might tag them together, but you'll see them because you selected disadvantaged communities. So it wouldn't be like only health and human services shows up when you click on disadvantaged. That's not how it's going to go, okay? So just know that. The other way to get into the portal is by selecting who you are. Like I was telling you, you can only put nonprofit. Here you could just select nonprofit or public agency, whoever you are, and go to the grants that are related to that applicant type. The other way to look at it, if you wanted to see what was recently posted, here it tells you what was recently posted. So 5 days all the way to 2 weeks. So you can only see the most recent here all the way down. So like I was telling you, this one's disadvantaged communities. Some of them are uncategorized because they don't fall under really something that we have, and we're working with departments to make sure that we can either help them figure out which category it falls under, or it's something that we didn't, in 1 year of learning, we didn't catch it. So we were working on those behind the scenes. But here, as you can see, there's agriculture, right? So you can food and agriculture department put out something for underdeserved and small producers program. So there's a lot of different ways you can get to it. Here's a number, and this number changes as portal every 24 hours. So we have 125 that are currently open and or forecasted. And I'll go over what forecasted means. There's 2 that were added in past week. And there is $20 billion currently available in funding out of the 125. Okay. So this number changes as state agencies are entering information into this portal. So just to give you a little more statistical analysis of where things are. So let's say I'm actually not going to make a filter because I'm going to show you everything and then we're going to filter. Okay. So let's say you wanted to see either you can do show me everything, or you go to find grants in the top left corner. I already have a tab open, so it'll take you to this page. This is the page where you'll see all 125, actually 124. Now it probably changed overnight. One closed. So 124 total grants here, as you can see. The way you can filter these, because there's 124, you don't want to go through page by page, right? You want to be able to filter a little bit more in depth. So a couple ways to do it. Keyword search, like I talked about a little bit earlier. The way keyword search, if you click on the little question mark, it tells you what type of information you can put in. So you can put in a title of a grant. If you know a grant that you've applied for before, you can put in a title, or you can put in, like, for example, anything text. So for example, if you wanted to look for climate change grants, right? You can put in climate change. As long as the department has entered climate change either in the title or in a text, you'll see the results. Okay. So in other words, if I say, I want to look at faith-based, well, that's not really a category, right? What do you want to do with the faith-based grant, right? Is it for housing, for religious reasons, or is it housing for homeless? If so, then put in housing or homelessness, right? So then you will have a better search. So you just really need to be the purpose of the grant, like why are you looking instead of what you're looking for. So just know that keyword search only works if you have to really think about what is the purpose and why you're looking for a grant, okay? You can put in the keyword search, like I said, or you can pick an agency. So if you already know the departments that you apply through, for example, a lot of you are with environmental justice, you're more likely are looking for environmental grants. So in this case, most of the environmental grants are going to be under Environmental Protection Agency, right? Some are going to be in natural resources, depending on what kind of work you're doing. But if you, I spelled it wrong, but it still finds it, Environmental Protection Agency, you can just click on the agency's name, all the departments underneath, it'll show you all the grants that those departments have put in, okay? If you don't want to do that, you can, if you don't what department, you just want to keep it very broad. Again, you can search by category, you can do applicant type, you can even do disbursement method, because some nonprofits may not want reimbursement because they can't afford to. Well, you can do advanced, right? Or you can do the combination. So this is all generated based on the information the state agencies have put in. So if the grants are tagged with advanced, it will show up only advanced, related grants, or both, or reimbursement, okay? Or you can actually do loan, and you can exclude. So, a lot of nonprofits don't want to do loans. You can exclude loans because, as I mentioned before, the definition includes loans and federal assistance funds, right? So departments are putting in loans in here. So if you know of a small business who's looking for a loan, yeah, they might want to look at all of them, right? So then you don't want to exclude these. These are says do not show. So if you don't want to see these type of grants, then you can click these, but otherwise leave them blank. One of the other things here, which is the most important thing, it defaults to forecasted and active. Sometimes you want to see what has been closed, because if you don't see anything that's result in your search, doesn't mean that it never existed. It could mean that it has already been closed in the past, right? So you might want to know for next year, keep a tab on that one, right? So if you wanted to see all grants that have ever been entered into this portal, I would recommend selecting closed and then hitting apply, okay? But here's a caveat on forecasted. Okay, so forecasted are those grants that are not open for application. And note, not open for application, but the departments are putting out information ahead of time for planning purposes. In other words, if your organization sees a forecasted grant and it seems like something you're really interested in, you might want to keep track of it or go to the events if they have any events or workshops, because that's where they will tell you how to apply for it, or provide any technical assistance or any information that might help your organization when it actually becomes available for application. Okay, forecasted are used for planning purposes, and these are volunteered. They're not mandated by the legislation. So they're putting in this information because they want to make sure the organizations that are grant seekers are able to get a head start. Okay, so sometimes you're going to see forecasted, sometimes you're not, because it just, whenever the department knows that they're going to have a grant in the future, they'll put a forecasted out, right? So the way it works is forecasted, then it turns into active, and then it closes. Okay, so that's the workflow. So sometimes you won't see any forecasts because they have already turned into active. Okay, forecasters do not have any deadlines because it's up to the department when it turns into application, right? So they'll change it from forecasted to active, which is why you won't see that forecasted anymore, right? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a search for something that, let's say, I mean, you guys are a short enough group, so why don't someone give me a keyword search that you will look for. Or shout out a keyword search for me, a keyword, a policy area or area of interest.
So,
oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
Affordable housing.
Okay, all right, let's see what comes up with affordable housing. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay, so when you put in affordable housing, like I was mentioning, you can do it different ways, right? You know the housing, fair employment and housing might put out a grant, right? But let's just do keyword for now. I'm gonna hit apply. Let's see what comes up. There are 2 grants that have affordable housing in them somehow. So let's say this is the grant I wanna look a little bit, because this kind of seems odd that, transportation agency has a housing grant, but let's look at more detail. So you can click on more detail, gives you a little bit of a purpose of what this grant is about. So this is affordable housing and a sustainable communities program that makes it easier for Californians to drive less by making sure housing, jobs, and key destinations are accessible for walking, biking, and transit. Okay, so now you're like, huh, that's interesting. And then there's eligible applicant are people who are in small business, nonprofits, public agencies, including local government, K-12, tribal government. That's just very intriguing. And then I scroll down a little. I want to read a little bit more about geographic requirements that they have, right? So they might have a specific requirements. Okay, so this grant seems really interesting to me. I'm an organization that might think that I might be eligible for it. So I'm going to read a little bit more about it. So the way you look at the entire detail of the grant is by looking at view full grant detail. It takes you to the actual grant detail page, which tells you a lot more about the grant. So this is a forecasted. Remember, it's not open for applications yet. Okay. Here's the expected award of announcement is supposed to go in September. So it kind of gives you an idea, well, maybe the department will put it out this summer at some point, right? Gives you a description, what this funding looks like, what's the available funding amount, expected number of awards. So you know how you see how it says dependent? You might go, what does that mean? Well, if you hover over the expected number of awards, it tells you what the dependent means. It basically means it depends on the application process, right? So that's what the departments are, they don't know yet, right? So it depends on the application process. They will determine how many number of awards they will have for this grant. Then they have an estimated amount per award. It goes from 1 to 30 million. So it's like, okay, well, that's great to know. Is there a required matching fund? 90%. Is this what type of funding is it? State, federal, or both? Well, it's state in this case. And then there's all sorts of notes and information that you might want to read. Let's say if you are ready for now to, let's say this was open for grant opportunities, right? So what you'll do is you'll go to the grant guideline. That takes you to the department's website to now read the RFP or RFQ, whatever they call it, NOFA in this case, and then apply. Okay, they have their own application process. So you got to follow that part. But let's say you want to know if there's workshops on this, because I want to be able to get technical assistance. My organization is small. Well, in this case, lucky, there's planned events. You go to this page, it tells you what meetings and workshops they're hosting, the department's hosting. You can also subscribe to their listserv, and I'll show you how to subscribe to the grants portal. You can go to their website, just a general mission statement about the department. If you have any questions that are like very specific to this grant, every grant information or every grant detail page has, for questions about this grant, contact this person. This is under the mandate. They have to provide some sort of contact information. Okay, so you have a full insight on making sure that you can contact them and ask them questions. Okay, if this is a blackout time, because some departments have that, regulatory departments have that, they will put it in here. It says no questions are during the blackout time, but they most likely have already opened, planned events before that. Okay. So going back to the search, that's how you go and look at the details. One of the other ways you can click on, just clicking on a grant like this one, right? It takes you to the grant details. So you don't have to do view detail under the more info. Here it gives you information about when it opened, so what date it opened up, deadline, it's active or forecasted, matching fund if there is any, estimated total funding. You can also sort these. So you can do the higher to lower, and so forth. In this case, I did lowest to highest. So it shows you, a grant that probably has available funding not available yet. So it will tell you eventually what that is. Okay. Questions? Okay. So going back up here, a couple other things I want to note on this page is to help you guys. Let's say if I picked a category in this case, right? So I wanted to see disadvantaged communities and environment and water related grants. Okay. This is the search
Hey,
that I
Shivani,
did.
just real
Yes.
quick, I see Mary Leah has her virtual hand raised. I didn't know if it was best to,
Yeah.
it was something that maybe you just mentioned, or if it's better to have a designated question time.
It doesn't matter. I can answer questions. I just am not looking at people's pictures so that I can have a better screen time. But yes, go for it. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Tri-Valley Cares has applied for two very different kinds of state grants in the past.
Okay.
One is a smaller grant where Tri-Valley Cares applied as an organization. So my question isn't about that. My question is about something that's similar to the bigger opportunity that we just happened to click into and search around, where it's the $1 million to $30 million. When Tri-Valley Cares has done that, it's been part of a consortium that included a number of non-governmental organizations and a couple of regulatory agencies together. Is there something in the database where they're required to tell you if it's a cooperative grant opportunity where you can have more than one entity in the application, or is that assumed, or how would someone surfing the portal know if the opportunities, months out and they're interested and they can call up a regulatory agency or a city agency and just see if there's interest in doing it together?
Okay, so a couple of things, a couple of ways to go about that. So description of the grant, it's supposed to tell you a lot of the requirements that that are highlighted for very specific kind of grant, right? So like if it was a cooperative grant, they should mention it in the description. If they didn't mention it in the description, their RFP or NOFA should have that requirement before you apply for it. So you understand that, hey, I can go in with someone else or have another entity, combined. One of the other things I would also recommend, if there was a grant that does not have that information, you're like, well, this doesn't make sense. It's huge. I want to be able to apply for it. I would recommend contacting the department with the contact information on that page. Okay. So because they are the main people that can answer those questions. And sometimes, you know, we have tried to make as standardized as possible for departments to be able to provide a lot of the information ahead of time so that this portal can serve as an eligibility asset, right? So that you can come in here, spend 20, 25 minutes figuring out what you're eligible for, and then go to their, you know, 10-page RFP or, you know, NOFA, and then apply, right? The idea is to provide this as an easier tool. So we have a glossary that also tells you exactly definitions we've provided to state agencies, probably a little more detailed to them because we wanted to give them examples and such, but it gives you the idea of what each of the field means in the grant detail page. So what does the description supposed to include? What does the purpose supposed to include? How big is it supposed to, you know, those kind of things. So we've provided a really, it's almost like we call it a data dictionary so that it's like data is standardized and in a very format matter, so that people are coming in and putting out information that's useful and valuable to the grant seekers before they apply for it. So hopefully that answers your question. I can't answer a specific question on that, but I can tell you that the guidance is there on where it should be on the portal.
And so it should be in the description.
Correct. Correct.
Because they've had that guidance from
Correct.
you. But if there are questions, the only way to answer is to use the contact. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and in the contact, they're supposed to have an email address and or phone number. Right now, because of the pandemic, some people are not in the office, so they may not have a soft phone line, but you know, email address is supposed to be there no matter what, unless it's forecasted. Forecasted is kind of a, you know, a volunteer base. They may not have someone assigned yet for forecasted, but
Okay.
for active grants, they absolutely have to have some sort of contact.
Thank you.
Information. Yep. Okay, so what I was showing earlier was how do you save this search? So let's say you're an organization who doesn't want to, you know, you already know what kind of grants you're going to look. You're not going to look for everything else, right? Because there's so many other different categories. I'm not going to look for education because I'm not an organization who's going to ever apply for education grants. Let's just say, right? So I'm only going to come in and I picked out disadvantaged communities and environment and water. Those are the grants I'm going to come and look for. So, but I don't want to have to come in here every time and select the category and, you know, hit the apply and all that stuff. So what you can do is you can actually come here and do the save current refinements. Come on. Oh, sorry. There we go. It tells you what I'm saving. So currently I'm going to save forecasted active opportunities, any agency, which I didn't select, disadvantaged communities and environment water in the category. I don't care. Everyone who's eligible for it. I don't want to specify that. And I'm open to any disbursement method. Okay. Once I hit yes, save my search, what it does is it drops a cookie in your browser. So next time you come to grants.ca.gov page, it's going to open up anything that's related to disadvantaged community and environmental water. Okay. So it's already filtered search. Okay. That's a little tidbit there to help you save some time. Okay, so then there's, like I was mentioning about the glossaries up here, visit our glossary here, or FAQs that gives you common questions that are asked around. We're also always changing the questions as well, just to make sure that as we're learning more about people's needs and you know, the questions that they might have, we wanna make sure you guys have the answers there. So that's there also. So now let me tell you a little bit about how you can subscribe for notifications. So we know that you're not going to always want to come to the portal every day, right? No one has the time. So you can actually subscribe to our notifications. So if you go to subscribe, what it does is it gives you an option to subscribe for daily or weekly notifications. You fill out your information up here. Only the asterisk information is required, so you don't have to fill out everything if you don't want to. But here's how you can subscribe for, or what you can subscribe. You can subscribe for all new grant opportunities, regardless of the category, regardless of the applicant type, all new and forecasted grant opportunities. So you can just click on this box. Okay, that will send you, based on your selection on the frequency, you'll get an email. Okay, that will give you the digest of what was added new. And if there's none, then you will not get an email. Okay, so we don't want to, you know, block your email, you know, fill it up all day long, right? The other thing is you can also select the category. So it's either or. So just know it's not going to be any different. So if you did newest grants, it's going to send you everything, all categories, all applicant type, everything. But if you just want to get an email about the specific category, so let's say you all want to just do environment and water and disadvantaged communities, you can select them and you'll get the newest grants in those categories. That makes sense. Okay, so you have an option to do all new or selected new. Okay, if you did newest grants and environment and water, and if there's grants that were environment and water related in the newest, you're going to get duplicates. So we have people that are, complaining that we're getting duplicates. Well, it's because they have newest grants and the categories. So, the system doesn't know, to take them out because that's just how it's set up. Okay. The other thing that we always do is feedback sessions. Every quarter, I'm doing feedback sessions with grant seekers and grant makers. We're providing training to the grant makers and answering any questions people might have, any desires, any new things that innovative ideas that you think of that this portal can do. So if you wanted to attend to any of those sessions, they're quarterly. The next one is coming up in May, actually in a couple weeks, on the 20th. If you're interested, I'll put in the Eventbrite link afterwards in the chat for you, or send it to Tom to disperse it out for you guys to attend. The idea is for you to come there either with questions that you might have, ideas you might have about the portal, or just as simple as, I don't know how to search, or I didn't catch everything you showed us. And can you show us, X, Y, Z. So those feedback sessions are open for anyone and everyone who's interested. So if you're interested in it, please select this so that I can send the notification for the next ones out, or reminders out, so that you don't lose out on the opportunity. Okay. So that's how you can get engaged with us. The other way you can provide feedback, if you don't want to attend feedback sessions, because we know that people's time is limited, you can actually contact us. So again, if you have a question about the grant, that has to go to the department, because I can't answer them. I'm not a program expert. But if you have a general feedback about the grants portal, something you didn't like, something you liked a lot, we want to hear. Right. So, and any innovative ideas you might have, this is a form that you fill out. Okay. Or you can send us an email on cagrantsportal@library.ca. And if you have a question, we will be happy to respond. We respond at least in a couple of business days so that you guys have answered. Know that it's only me and other technical staff. So we're pretty small but mighty group. So, we try to get to everyone and make sure that you have your questions answered. Okay. The other place you can actually also follow us is, I'm actually going to add the May one here. This is how you can actually sign up for the feedback session. But it just went out last Friday, so hasn't been updated. But here's the news. So what's new with the grants portal? You'll find out a little blog about what we've been up to, right? If you're interested in that. We also added a translation. So translation is only, again, note, only for this website. Once you hit the grant guidelines to go to the department's website, translation loses. Okay. We don't have any authority over what departments have on their websites and how their information is. So if you wanted to translate a different language, you can do that now. And then when I mentioned that you have we have open source of all the information, the data, let me show you where that lives. If someone in here is more interested in data, here's the statistics dashboard. This updates every 24 hours, okay? This data is live. So I was telling you there's over 300 grants that have been entered since July of 2020. That's what this is. Here's the breakdown. There's 98 grants that are active. 210 have been closed, and then there's 27 forecast. And there's $26.6 billion right now. There's 52 agencies that are putting grants into the portal, and here's all the agencies and how many grants they've provided or have open. You can look at all the depth of information you want to, okay? Or you can also see how many are grants, how many are loans, and how many are combination of the both. You can also see how many grants are provided by businesses, how many are individual based. And remember, they can be tagged double. So they could be for business, individual, and for tribal government and for nonprofit, right? So just know the numbers a little bit, might not be exactly the same, but they're counted for, okay? So those are different statistical analysis, the visualization of what we have. Again, if you wanted to download this information, you can go to the California Open Data Portal, and it takes you right where you can download a CSV and like an Excel form, and you could just filter and slice however you like. We have small businesses that are using our API, which is a more technical savvy way of pulling our data automatically, and they're displaying it on their website. So and so they can help grant seekers find grants. Okay, so that's where all the statistical dashboard is. Using this site again gives you FAQs, a glossary information. For state agencies is only for state agencies, but you can read what we tell them so that, in case you're interested, it tells you a little bit more about what state agencies, how they actually put in information. They have their own accounts, they have permission-based, there's security built in. We provide them onboarding training and so forth, right? So they have their own different way to get into the portal. Okay, that is all I have about the portal. Now I am open for any questions and thoughts you all may have. I'm just reading through any of the chats if there's anything there yet.
Looks like SB
someone
has a
raised a
question.
yeah, SB has a question.
Yeah, so my question is if, for example, we have, because it's two organizations I'm representing, and so for example, one of the organizations, we have a program which is an arts component to our environmental justice piece. So then that arts program, if they have their own email address, we could then sign up so that they could do all the search for anything that's related, with the arts and environmental justice and what have you, and then us do our own separate, searches and then email notifications through our other email address.
Yeah, so if you're representing two different organizations and two different missions, you can definitely sign up for two different subscriptions, as long as you're okay with receiving emails. We don't have any limitations on how many people or who can or can't subscribe. It's up to you. I mean, you can pick the category for library, parks, and arts. Everything around museums, art is under that category, right? So general enough category where you can put in that information. And then for the other one, if you were looking for environmental justice related grants, they'll most likely be under environment and water. So, you can subscribe for that category, and that's how you can divide up the two.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ken?
Good. One question about the category selection. From what I heard, the category it's an and operation. If I select two category, is this and that, or it's an or operation?
It's and. So it's selecting, so it's disadvantage and environment and water.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so if I select three, then it will have to meet all three conditions.
That's my understanding. Yeah. Let me know if it doesn't work that way, but that's what we tested for. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. And then I see another question. Can you search by grant amount or just text keyword? That's a good question. So the way you can do grant amount is sort. So sorting is the only thing. So total funding is right here, right? So you could sort by the lowest to highest or highest to lowest. Unfortunately, it's not going to find, the numbers because it's being crunched behind the scenes to be able to show it in different places, right? So statistical analysis up front and all the different factors. So keyword doesn't really do numbers unless it's in the title or it's in the text of the grant. Hopefully that answered your question there. Okay, any other questions, thoughts?
Well, that's how you can tell you did a great job with the presentation. You answered everybody else's
I know.
questions.
Either that or it wasn't valuable, one or the other, but either way.
Oh, I think
I'm
it's
totally-
valuable. Oh, well, we have Luis joining us right now. I don't know if you could hear me already, Luis. We were just Shivani was just wrapping up her presentation, but if you have any questions about the grants portal, you're just in time for the question and answer.
But if you have any other, specific questions, or you want me to do another presentation, feel free to reach out. Again, you can contact us through CAA grants portal at library.ca.gov. I will add the feedback sessions that's coming up in a couple of weeks in the news so that you guys can go and RSVP if you're interested in that. Or you can contact us, and provide feedback through the form as well. But all the information is there. Happy to hear any thoughts and ideas you guys might have once you have digested a little bit of the portal and tried it out for yourself. Let me know.
Great. Anybody last chance for a question? Anything else we can...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll surf it and,
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yes, of course. Our thought is to make awareness and teach folks so that they can use the tool. It's very intimidating at first when you start a new tool and you don't know how they actually built it, right? So, our thought is to be able to get awareness out in California, to different small communities, disadvantaged communities, so that folks actually have this tool handy and valuable. So if you know of other community members that might be helpful, that might find this useful, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to connect with them as well.